I ended it all, and nothing would ever be the same. I wanted to reintroduce myself to my community. We have a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new people on our social media, and it's been a while since I've shared with you guys who I am, who I become, and what we are. So, my name is Coach JV, and it wasn't always Coach JV. It wasn't always JV, and I want to break down that whole story. And I think it's important when you have a community to be open, transparent, and honest. And that way we can build a deeper relationship together. And that's why I call you guys family. And I absolutely love and adore when I get to meet you guys out in public. And it's the greatest honor ever. So if you ever see me out in public first, please come say hi. No matter where we're at, I would love to give you a big hug and say thank you because I love you. I truly, truly do. But I think it's time for me to reintroduce myself to the community, share with you where I was, where we are, and where we're going because we're growing together. So it didn't just all start in 2020. The actual journey started in December 18th, 2006, when I attempted suicide due to a massive opiate addiction. That was almost 18 years ago. Now, if any of you have ever experienced an opiate addiction or addiction within your family, it is a absolute destructive force. It's demonic. It's dark. I took my life with a 3-year-old daughter in tow, Raven, who is now almost 21 years old, a beautiful lady. She's within our ecosystem now. She's an absolute legend. Um, and she was 3 years old, and I decided to do the most selfish act. I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. I thought it was all over. So I took a massive amount of opiates on December 18th, 2000. I'll try not to get emotional telling the story. Then we'll get to the business part of it and what we do now. And I just want you guys to understand who I am. And so we can build this relationship together and continue to grow together because we're about to do some big things all together. Okay. December 18th, 2006, I took a massive amount of opiates. And what was interesting about that, I had never prayed in my life. I had never been really introduced. I was born Catholic. We went to church and Easter and funerals and things like that. The typical, Easter bunny and Christmas. And I never was taught about Jesus Christ. I was never taught how to pray. We never prayed any of that stuff. Nothing wrong with that, but I just never was taught or had a spiritual connection or even knew what God was. I never even knew what Jesus was. And for some reason, right before I took my own life, I knelt down and I said, "Dear Father God," and I started my prayer. And I didn't know who I was talking to. I didn't know what that was or why I even did that. And, I'm not going to do the prayer because I'll start crying. Then 48 hours later, I woke up to the phone ringing after I took a I thought I was dead. And so I answered the phone and it's my mom. And she had no idea that she woke me up from an attempted suicide. So it was 48 hours later. And she said, "I don't know what the F is going on with you. And if you ever meet my mom, she's a very classy lady. So it's very out of character for her." She said, "You need to read a book called The Secret. Your grandma just read it." So I read a book called The Secret, which was my first pathway in awakening to thoughts become things. So I read the book, The Secret, and I realized that, wow, I manifested all of this. And so I went into the book, Think and Grow Rich, and I started doing vision boards and Think and Grow Rich and manifestation. Secrets of the Millionaire, Secret, The Secret. Those are all books I read too. And Think and Grow Rich, and then Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I started doing all these things, right? But I'm on my back looking up. I literally lost everything. I went bankrupt. I couldn't take care of my 3-year-old daughter. I was getting evicted from my apartment. But I decided to have faith that something saved me from that suicide. And from that moment on, I started calling myself JV. John Vasquez died and JV was born. And I'll speed the story up because I just want to get to 2025, where we're at and where we're going together. And then from there, I ended up getting a job at a bank. Wild story, right? Wild story. So I start doing the manifestation and most unlikely job offer, right? I end up sitting in front of a lady named Lori Schmidt. I honor her all the time, and a guy named Joe Italic that was a big part of my getting back on my feet, my recovery, and kind of helping me through this mentally. And he's the one that invited me to go to the job interview. And I sit in front of a lady named Lori Schmidt. And at this point in my life, I'm like, I will take any job. I'm starting to recover. I'm doing well. I'm back on my feet. I'm seeing my daughter. And I sit in front of this lady named Lori Schmidt. And I'm like, "Ma'am, if you hire me, I'll be your best employee. I just need a job." And I was manifesting. I was doing all the things you're supposed to do. And she calls me about 15 minutes later, and I had bought a suit from Goodwill. I think I still have the suit in a box in storage for 50 cents. And so big oversized suit. And I was broke at this point, right? And She calls me 15 minutes later, says, "We want to hire you." And I said, "Thank you so much." And I was like, "What are you going to hire me?" She's like, "A banker." And I was like, "A banker?" Most unlikely job, right? But you'll start to see through our stories and through your journey that everything is divinely directed, right? I had no idea I'd be teaching this type of stuff. And I had no idea I'd be doing this right now, but God did. God did. I didn't, but God did. God knew that this was my path. God knew that I was supposed to be doing this. And I don't question any of this, right? That's why I don't listen to the naysayers and the haters and naysayers. This is who I listen to, right? So I started laughing. I'm like, "Okay, thank you so much." And she's like, "So we'll put you through banker training. We'll give you the training you need. We liked your energy." So I call my mom and I'm like, "Mom, guess what? I got a job as a banker." And she's like, "A banker?" She's like, "You have dyslexia. You can't do math." And I'm like, "Yes, I know." So it was a funny story. So anyway, so I become a banker and I loved it. I showed up every single morning before the manager got there. I would clean the branch and do anything I could to support. I moved up very quickly in the bank, and I'll speed the story up. Throughout that process, I'm a pendulum swinger. I go all in on stuff, and I was trying to get my shit together. And so I went into tried to go into Buddhism. I read the Tao, and then I went and was going to some temple in Mesa with these Buddhist monks come to these houses, and I met a Buddhist monk there. And after this part, I'll fast forward to when I left the bank. I met a Buddhist monk there, and there was two lessons that he taught me. The first lesson was I was sitting in his style. I can't sit in his style. My legs are like super, super tight, right? And he comes up to me. He's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I can't meditate. Everybody's sitting up straight, their yoga poses and stuff." He's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I can't sit Indian style." He's like, "Why are you sitting Indian style?" I said, "Because everybody else is." He goes, "What makes you comfortable?" And I said, "Laying down." He said, "Then lay down." So I laid down. He whispered in my ear, walked by. He goes, "Always do you." And I was like, okay, right. So that, back then my ego, and then we're doing walk, heel, toe meditation outside. And I remember I felt the sun on one side and the breeze. I'd never felt like all this, the nature. And I was like, oh, I felt it. It was like presence, right? And I asked him, I'm like, "Is that it?" He's like, "What?" And I'm like, "The sun on my face." And he's like, "I don't know." And I left Buddhism because I found out years later that was the answer. He didn't have the answer for me. So I left Buddhism. I'm in banking at this point. And so I moved up really fast. I became a vice president at the bank, went to CBA executive banking school. I fell in love with macro and microeconomics. I fell in love with the banking system, and not well, once I understood the banking system. I didn't fall in love with the banking system did to people, and that's why I'm in what I do now. But I fell in love with understanding how money flows work and how systems work and scaling businesses and things like that. And I started to go through a great awakening within banking. In 2017, I decided to leave to start what I thought was going to be a successful podcast company. I'm a book author. And so I did all the things you're supposed to do. I hired a guru for 6 months, did all the funnel hacking, did all the things he did. And I launched a program. I left corporate America, right? At this point, I had a large 401k sitting there, and I had a nice amount of big chunk in savings. So a nice safety net, right? So I'm like, okay, so I jump out, no net, burn the boats, we created what's called JV Impacts. Okay. JV Impacts, the company, which was a podcast, which is still a podcast. It's evolved. The whole company has evolved. So it started out as JV Impacts, because a lot of people think I'm just a crypto guy and I've been doing this, but this is evolved for a long time. So 2017, we created JV Impacts, wrote a book called Roids to Riches. I have a book already that's called Use Must Believe Way of Life since 2012. And we launched. And so I launched this podcast and I built this program for 6 months, the 3T fitness program, Subconscious Mind Pro, all this stuff. And I launched, and guess how many people signed up in January 2018? Boom, zero. 2 weeks later, two people signed up that knew me, and they said it sucked and they canceled. It's like, fuck. Excuse my language. I did say that. And so I get back on my feet. I retest the program. I do it again. I launch it again. Fails for the second time. Right. But during this time, something important was happening. I was being tested. God was putting me through what I needed to go through. It's actually on our YouTube channel somewhere where I actually do a video and I say, I'm going to become a warrior in a modern day society. I don't even know why I said that or why I did it. And be very careful what you say. God's like, okay, you want to be a warrior in a modern day society. You are not battle tested. I'm going to make you a warrior. Stripped everything from me. Program failed for the third time. Failed for the fourth time. Then we finally get up and running. We went through Alex Hermosi's. We have a gym. It was, a physical facility here, one of our businesses, and what's involved in the Warrior Academy. And so we launched this amazing program. We get an investor, launched an amazing program called 3T Fitness. And I went through Alex Hermosi's program, and our business explodes, right? Alex Mosley, one of the greatest business coaches in the world. And I use a lot of his principles today in my 6 companies. So we launched the 3T Fitness and it explodes, right? We're doing phenomenal. We have a bunch of clients in the gym and, but I'm in the business, right? I'm in the business. I'm doing everything wrong because I'm indoctrinated, right? So I'm in the business, trading time for money. And we start to discover crypto back into 2019, going into 2020. And then I start going into, first thing I was introduced to was XRP. And so I get into XRP, right? Start building this portfolio. I'm getting super excited about it. And it started to really match with my macro and microeconomics, creature of Jekyll Island. I was going down these rabbit holes and I became obsessed with understanding how money flows to move through the system, right? And I realized, man, we've been really indoctrinated at a deep level to not understand this. Okay, this story's going to go for a while, so bear with me. So then Cinderella story, but now I'm in the business though. I'm working like 18, 19 hours a day. We're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to trade time for money. You're supposed to use money to free up time. So that was the first lesson. Then all of a sudden, boom, pandemic hits. They shut our business down. We're a gym. So in Arizona, they shut down gyms and they shut down our gym. They took away all my ability to feed my family. I was pissed at this point, right? Like I had already lost everything. Like the first time trying to build this stuff, right? I used my 401k, all my savings, right? Went through a lot of different stuff. And so I had this nice little crypto portfolio. And I'm like, I knew in my heart where crypto was going. I'm like, I'm not touching that. But I had no money coming in. They literally shut our business down. They literally took away my ability to feed my family. I said that will never happen again. Ever. As a man, you should never be in a position where another man or woman can come and take away your ability to feed your family. It pissed me off. So I moved back in with my parents at 43 years old. And this is where a lot of you guys know the story and some of you don't know the story. Knocked on my parents' door, my kids in tow, moved back in with my parents at 43. And I looked my mom in the eyes and I said, this will never happen. Never happen again. She said, I believe you. Mom looked in my eyes and said, I believe you. So I devoted my life to studying macro, microeconomics, historical patterns, spiritual, mental, physical, and financial. And my daughter got us on TikTok. And I started to share this. So first we did some fun videos. You can see the funny things. It helped us build our relationship actually, because my poor daughter, we go from this beautiful life to living with grandma and grandpa. She's going into high school. So this girl's a legend, dude. She's been through hell and back with me. Hell and back with me. And, now I have Raven and I have my son, John, who's 9 now. They're both legends. Raven's been through just the mud with me and built empires with me now. And, so we moved back with my parents, but I devoted my life to this and I decided to start sharing my story on social media and started to share the knowledge and information that I was learning. And we went completely viral. But remember, guys, I had been posting every single day, 3 times a day since 2017. 3 times a day consistently, never missed a beat. We didn't go viral in 2017, not 2018, not 2019, mid 2020. 4 years of posting consistently, never missing a beat, doing a story every day. We only had 300 subscribers on YouTube. I had like 17 people on TikTok. I had 0. I didn't even have Twitter back then. We had 300 people, 274 people on Instagram, a couple people on Facebook, and we got on TikTok and the pressure cooker just boom. And then I just started sharing my journey going from broke on my parents' couch to millionaire in crypto. And now our millionaire ecosystem outside of cryptocurrency. So I'm not just a guy that came out here and just started talking about crypto. I'm a guy who's been battle tested. I'm a guy who's lost his money 3 times, self-induced with the drug addiction. Second was building a company, right? Trying to get the company on, keeping team members paid, making myself the last. And third was COVID shutting us down. But I'm a man who drew a line in the sand, became more committed to the pain of change, and worked to rewire my brain so this would never happen to my family again. And now, 5 years later, we're in a completely different paradigm. Went from completely broke on my parents' couch to millionaires in crypto to pulling profits from 2020 to 2022. And we built massive ecosystems outside of cryptocurrency. Okay, so I'm a business owner. So number one responsibility that I have is a business owner. So I have 6 companies in information technology, attention, and education, and financial services. So we're in a financial services firm called Freedom Insurance, LLC. You can find all the stuff, and I'll show you all our ecosystem. So I own a Freedom Insurance company, which we're huge in cash value life insurance. We teach people bank on yourself, any banking concept. We have the 3T Warrior Academy. It's a worldwide academy. We've had 11,000 people since 2020. Subconscious mind programming, goal setting, vision creation, market calls, live calls, community calls. It's the greatest community in crypto. I'm looking over here. We have Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. We created a crypto tracker, right? We took resources, we invested into that, which is a phenomenal company right now. I have a men's coaching program called Refined Integrity. I have a clothing brand called Refined Integrity, Yeshua, Jesus clothing brand. I have Freedom Asset Management Group. We have a podcast company. And so I'm not just a guy talking about crypto. I'm a guy who is deeply invested in crypto, but deeply ingrained outside of crypto. And so I built this ecosystem because like I said, I promise this will never happen to my family again. I took my wealth and I stewarded it. When we became wealthy in crypto from 2020 to 2022, we didn't buy Lambos and houses, and a lot of influencers got really rich and now they're really broke and they're struggling right now because it's in a mid bear market, which is supposed to be a bull market because they didn't steward their wealth. But we pulled profits. We richest man in Babylon it. We multiplied it. Then we pulled ourselves from the left side of the cash flow quadrant down to the right bottom side of the cash flow quadrant. We now use money to free up time. So we have our cryptocurrency portfolio. We have a business portfolio. We're building a real estate portfolio. We're building treasuries for crypto treasuries for our companies. We have dividend ETF strategies that pay us cash flow, right? We have a little bit of a precious metal strategy. I'm a big Bitcoin guy for gold. But that's where we're at now. So as we sit in 2025, one of our biggest projects right now is our insurance firm, Freedom Insurance. And where are we going? Where are we going? We are working we will create one of the largest communities teaching financial literacy, helping people with financial services, and helping people understand how to get out of the just over broke system by rewiring the foundation that have been a different situation. I'm also going to build one of the largest communities of men rising up to honor God, protecting their family and protecting their ecosystem at all costs and staying out of other men's business because they're too busy working on theirs. So that's where we're at. So we're here in 2025. And the reason why I'm doing this, as I'm recording this video, I'm actually in a plant medicine experience in Peru. As you're watching this video on Friday, I think it might be the 18th. I think it might be the 18th or 19th. I'm actually in a deep plant medicine experience in Peru. It's another big part of my life. The biggest part of my life is God. God, God, God. I honor God in everything I do. If you don't like me doing that, I'm not your guy. Jesus Christ, I walk with as close to Jesus Christ as I can. And I go to Peru once or twice a year and I sit with the medicine called San Pedro. I've been doing it since 2019. It is a beautiful medicine that I sit with. And so you're watching this video, if you're watching it on this Friday, I'm actually in the medicine experience and I hope that you can feel that vibration and energy. And I want to end by saying this. I love you. I love you very much. I honor that you're here watching this. I pray for people who don't like me. I pray for people who do like me. I pray for everybody. And when I realized, to be very transparent, when I realized, especially through the plant medicines and studies, that I don't know anything, man, that's when I gained everything. And I honor all the relationships that I'm building throughout the world because I'm learning from you guys. And that's the biggest key. And that's what we're here to do. That's what this is all about. It's about us learning together. It's about us growing together. It's about us understanding that these are just resources. This is not ours. We don't take it with us. This is God's. And we should steward this well. So let me share with you guys how to get a hold of us. Okay. So in my bio, I broke down the ecosystem. So there's a book that I wrote called The Warrior's Guide to Financial Freedom. It's the exact blueprint. You can copy it, look at it. Again, not financial advice, but you can free download. We have the Coach JV Academy. I discussed the Academy with you, 11,000 warriors since 2020. I have live workshops where you can work with me live. This is my insurance company right here where you can set a free appointment with my insurance team. Free needs assessment. We'll break down everything we do. We have Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. I have a free exit strategy guide for you right here. If you're interested in being part of my men's community where we're going to work together to get our shit together, I have a men's community. I have a apparel. If you see the apparel that I wear, it's all my apparel. The Jesus hoodies and things like that. I'm just obsessed with representing Jesus. And then media request, any media request, if you podcasts, YouTube, stuff like that. So I want to reintroduce myself. So nice to meet you. I'm Coach JV. The reason why I call myself Coach JV, well, people gave me the name Coach, and so people gave me that name, so I accepted it. And I call myself JV because John Boscus died and JV was born. And I'm a phenomenal father. I'm an amazing CEO. I'm an amazing partner. I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of you. So I'm here to grow with you and I love you. Warriors, let's get your shit together. Let's go. Love you guys.